What would happen if you started or took your business to $1 million, $2 million, or $5 million in annual revenue? What would that mean to you personally, your family, community, and your network? It can happen. A Million Veteran Millionaires is a mindset engineering Zoom call platform created to rally and gather veteran startups or veteran-owned businesses who want to work together to help each other succeed. We will first focus on changing mindsets that keep you back and go through a process called mindset engineering to take steps to achieving success. We will feature other successful business owners who are leading the way, who are supporting this mission. We are limited to 100 attendees initially. The cost is free to attend. If you would like to know more, please visit amillionveteranmillionaires.com. You deserve to have a successful business, and we want to help you. Change your mindset, change your future.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the third module for A Million Veteran Millionaires here with Molly Brown, mindset engineer. And we've had a lot of off-camera discussions just about the journey that she's helping me to work on. And I'm starting to introduce her to some of my network to have her do this more intently for those that are building their career, maybe they're high level corporate, and they're reimagining their work. And so anyway, Molly, thank you for being on and being here for Module 3, and looking forward to what the next assignment's going to be.
Yeah, sure. So I want to start with, we'll review kind of the things we've done in the last two modules. We started with a goal, which is kind of setting our destination in our GPS, so that we're very clear in our own mind where we're going. So we started with a goal, and that was our first module. And the second module we did, we called it the movie scene, that you're going to write out, or that you did write out a scenario that has already played out in your business or in your life that isn't the results that you want to get. And you put as much detail, real detail of how that event really happened as you could. And then you get a new piece of paper and you write out the ideal situation, exactly how you want to do it. You know, and Andy and I have been discussing this too, all those emotional details of, like, if you're gifting something to somebody else, what does that feel like to be able to gift that, and the reactions that it gets, and to really feel the gratitude of being able to experience those things ahead of time. And that starts to build a muscle memory in your brain for these new experiences, to really enable you to see opportunities to experience that in the world around you, and to kind of prime you to be ready to experience different levels of success. So today, I'm going to talk about your self-image and some exercises you can do to kind of coach yourself and discover some things about your own self-image, because part of what our internal self-image does is it filters what we're able to perceive in the outside world, so that of all the infinite possibilities out in the world, we start to only see the ones that reaffirm to us the image that we're already holding of ourselves. If we feel in lack, if we feel not good enough, if we feel, any of these negative things, the world starts reaffirming to us that we don't have what we want, that we're not getting the respect we want, and we just don't know how to get out of that. And then the opposite of that would be if we just assumed that we had value, if we assumed that we were exactly where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there, if we assumed that we just know the right thing to say and we have the confidence to open your mouth and say it when you're led to, and you have that kind of self-image, you're going to experience the same circumstances very differently. So we can kind of tailor the results we're going to get, and with the way the world is going to show up to us, we can tailor that by altering the self-image that we show up with in the world in the first place. And this concept of self-image was discovered by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who was a plastic surgeon back in like the 50s and 60s. And he would do which is the kind of the beginning. After World War II was kind of the beginning of this reconstructive plastic surgery because of all the soldiers coming back with significant disfigurations, that this medical field arose to help them reintegrate, like to recover and to look more normal and reintegrate back into society. And that's when this kind of beginning of plastic surgery came up. So originally it wasn't really a vanity thing. It was more of a correcting of war wounds and disfigurations thing. So Dr. Maxwell Maltz was early in that movement, and he made some observations about the patients that he worked with. He said some would come in with disfigurations and the surgery would be very successful, and they would walk out with a more normal looking face. Whatever it was that was supposed to be fixed was medically fixed. And for some of them people, it was accompanied by a psychological change, and they would come in and say, oh, nobody likes me because I have this giant scar on my face. And he would fix the giant scar, and they'd go out and they say, well, everybody likes me now. It was the scar's fault. The scar is gone, and now everybody likes me. And their career would take off, all of their relationships would change, all of these things. And some people would come in, the same thing, some kind of disfiguring scar or mark on their body or their face, and the surgery would be entirely successful, and they would go back into life and nothing would change for them. They were a grumpy, bitter person, and now they have a perfect, beautiful face, and they go back out and they're still a grumpy, bitter person, and none of their results changed. Nobody changed how they acted towards the person before or after the scar was removed. And so Dr. Maxwell Maltz, having seen this just a number of times over and over and over through his years in a career, decided that there was, or discovered that there was, an inner self-image that we hold of ourselves, and then there's an outer image that the world can see and is reflected back to us in a mirror. And that the outer self-image becomes a result of the image we hold of ourselves inside. Now, we now know from being able to scan brains and things that this inner self-image starts being developed, it's developed before the age of 7. And then there's ways of repeating things and changing your self-image. And one of the institutions that's very, very effective at helping people change their self-image is the military. And the military is not only, when you put on a uniform, you all know this, when you put on a uniform and you go through basic training, you don't feel like a soldier or a Marine because you're wearing the uniform, that there is something inside of you that now associates yourself with a set of values and a community and a responsibility. And that image is not, if somebody takes your uniform away, or when you're out walking around as civilians, or you've been out of the military for a number of years, you still hold something inside of you that identifies with the values of the military. And the military is a fantastic organization for helping people program their self-image with that set of values. Now, when we leave the military and we go into the corporate world or entrepreneurship, whatever it is, maybe I'll start with the corporate world, because entrepreneurship is a little bit different. The corporate world has logos. They have physical branding. Sometimes they have uniforms that they have you wear, but they are not ubiquitously as good at programming, helping people program their inner self-image. A lot of corporate world is relying on external branding and things to carry their identity only on the outside. So what happens with veterans or people who have whatever programming it is you show up with to a corporation, they don't know how to change that. So if you're a veteran and you have been through basic training and been specifically programmed with a military identity, and you don't really understand the process of how that programming worked in basic training and how you were programmed, and now you continue forward for more chapters of your life that are outside of the military, still running an inner image of the military. And this is good and bad. There are many values of the military, but there are also aspects of the military that are no longer serving you and useful in your corporate setting or your family setting or in running your own business. There are aspects of behavior and interactions between people that need to adapt and change. So part of what Andy and I want to bring to this community of veterans is the knowledge that you can reprogram your brain, and that this time you're not a soldier signing up for a purpose that already has a set program. You are responsible for and get the opportunity to write and decide this program entirely for yourself. And you can do it to serve you at the company that you're in right now, at the job that you're in right now, or if you're an entrepreneur, you have even more personal responsibility and liberty to design that self-image even larger for yourself. So the steps that we're leading you through here are to help you define the new program that you do want to load, and to show you how to load it, and to show you what symptoms that you might experience in your life that are the result of an inner self-image that is not aligned to the outer results that you're trying to achieve in the world. So we also know that the inner self-image and the outer image that you see in the mirror and that the world sees when they look at you, this isn't a chicken and an egg kind of conundrum where which one comes first, which one affects the other. We know that the inner image comes first. It is how you perceive yourself, how you perceive your value and your purpose in the world gets projected onto your outer image, and that's what the whole world sees from you. Now, we get stuck in this feedback loop when we don't know that it's the inner image that needs to change first, or it's the inner image that is the cause, and the outer image, what the world sees of us, and consequently how we see the world that is the result of the inner image. And so we get caught in this feedback loop where we look to our, I'll say, reflection in the mirror, but this is of course not just your physical appearance. It's the amount of money you make. It's the kind of relationships that are in your life. It's how respectfully you're treated by people around you, how you show up, how your business is performing, how your career is going, all of these kind of outer expressions. When we look to those to define our inner self-image, and then we identify with those outer things and make them our inner self-image, now we're stuck. We're plateaued, we're stuck in a feedback loop, however you want to image it. You're stuck because you're looking at the results to define your cause. And so now you just keep getting the same results, looking at the same thing and doing the same thing. So this entire process that we're walking you through is showing you to go the other way, to ignore the amount of money in your bank account, ignore the number on the scale, ignore your current career, role if it's not what you want it to be. Temporarily ignore those things. Those are the effects, the results based off of the cause that is your inner image. And it will take time for a changed image, self-image, to reflect differently on the outside world. And in that interim time, you need to understand the process. So you're not being delusional. So that's why we really want to explain this process, because you need to ignore things. You need to step on the scale, not see the number you wanted to see, but reaffirm to yourself that you are the half marathoner, right? You need to go run whatever time it is that you ran and to keep a record of it, but then reaffirm to yourself that it is the time that you want it to be, to pay your bills and look at the amount of money in your bank account and be realistic, but also reaffirm to yourself that that is the effect of thoughts that you have thought in the past and showing up now. And in the future, you want it to show up differently. And therefore, you have to change the cause, which means changing the thoughts that you're thinking today to change all of those numerical values tomorrow and in the future. So I'm going to give you an exercise for this, and it's simply to describe the image that you think you are projecting to the world right now, knowing that that is the result of your inner self-image. So what you're doing is basically looking at how the world is showing up to you, how people are responding to you, and using that to understand the beliefs that you're holding about yourself. Because most of us don't walk around saying, oh, I believe I'm not worth $1 million. But we do walk around saying, oh, I'm not going to ask for that $1 million. Say, oh, why would they buy that from me for $1 million, right? So we kind of use our results in business and things to inform what the beliefs we really have about ourselves are. So the exercise is just to write out, how is the world showing up to you? How are other people responding to you? What do you think you're projecting to the world? And then same thing as last week, kind of get a new piece of paper or draw a line and write a new one and just start from scratch. How do you want to show up to the world? Who do you authentically believe you are? What would feel good for you to be that person and show up in life as that person? And you don't need to know, same with all the previous exercises we've done, you don't need to know how you get there. You're going to get there. We're going to walk you all the way through getting there, and you're going to get there first by seeing yourself as that person and believing that those results are possible for you. And our beliefs come from repetition. So write that image down, spend a little time reading it, and then start to see yourself as that person. And now in your movie scene from last week, you're that person. These things are going to start integrating, right? Your goal is now a whole movie scene, and now your persona in the movie scene has backstory and character. And you're just adding a bunch of detail to this new identity.
That's incredible. So as I've been on the journey personally, I'm changing the way I talk. I mean, you and I started this and we were just getting to know each other. I said, I'm looking for companies that want to go to $1 million and above, and when you start to put it out there, because I do a lot of networking or whatnot, you find where people are. Some really believe like, yeah, I see myself going to $1 million and above, or some are more like, well, I don't know if I ever see myself going there. There's already kind of a defeative mindset. And I was mentioning to you today that I had lunch with a TV producer partners. They've been in business for 30 years. And, they're trying to reinvent themselves in this market. There's a lot of challenges, and the types of clients that they are looking for, established, those with budgets versus those that want to get to a bigger, successful revenue cycle. But even for themselves, I was like, well, how big do you want to grow? And so I just put a number out there of 5 million. And a little bit of pushback, but then all of a sudden, I guess I could see myself doing what does that look like, right? So then you start to think through, what that looks like for the year, but then scaling back to the day, like each day, what do I need to do today? It's going to get me closer to the goal by the end of the week, goal by the end of the month, kind of a thing, and then expecting blessing or expecting opportunities to come your way, because that's really the realm that we're operating is. Yeah, most folks, if they really thought about it, it's like, why am I working so hard? Because I want to be successful. Then with success, you have things that you can do with that. But you also, I think, what I'm doing personally is going through my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my children. What do I want that to look like? My health, what do I want that to look like? We talked about the marathon. I haven't been running as much as I need to, but that mantra is reminding me, okay, I'm supposed to be training for this marathon. So it's a reminder to chop away at it. I'm reading a book right now called Chopping Wood, Carrying Water. And so that's labor intensive every day, chop wood, carry water. So every day you get to have these disciplines, right, to go to meet that goal. And these pictures that you're assigning become vivid. When I did my assignment, and emailed it to you and then read it to you, it just became real. It's like, wow, that could happen. And that is happening now, right? Because we're making those movements towards that. So I'm very excited to get feedback, I guess, from people that are following at some point. They'll share their stories with us and how it really transformed the way they think. We've been putting it out there, change your mindset, change your future, and that's kind of our tagline. But anything else you want to say about that?
I think that's it. Change your mindset, change your future, and you're changing on purpose. A lot of people are waiting for some external catastrophe to come along that they're going to have to respond to in order to change and grow as people. And you don't have to wait. You can use a goal as your own external impetus instead of a catastrophe.
Now, I've done some work in the entertainment sector. That's the real world of make-believe. And so in that world, you have, it tells you what your role is. A director directs, the producer produces, the actors act, the screenwriters write. And so they all have an identity. Musicians, I had one client, on stage, he was a powerhouse, magnetic personality. The ladies loved him. His voice was awesome. The guys loved him. He just amazing how he projected himself. But in person, very low key, very subdued. But when it came time to turn it on, he became who he was in his mind, to be able to captivate audiences and just run with it. Just that's artistic talent. You really can't. You either, I won't say you have to develop it, but you have it. Once you have it, you have it. That's what it's called in the industries. You've got it. Whatever role. Even actors. They get into the character. One of my trainers out of Hollywood, she used to say that the actors needed to know what they ate for breakfast. That's how in tune with their character they are. And then when they're in front of the camera, they just bring that, essence that, makes for the cinema, the magic of cinema, so to speak. So yes. But we can do that in business too. That was the other part of her training is business people need to take acting lessons so they can internalize who they are in the courtroom, who they are in the boardroom, and it becomes believable because you became that character, so to speak, and you're owning that image. And the people respond to it because it's so well done. I guess it's well thought out, maybe well practiced. I don't know what the right terminology is there.
Right. And you have to do that inner work first. If you wait to show up in camera and everybody say, "Oh, you look just like your part," and then you feel it inside, it just never happens that way. You have to do it the other way around.
Okay, so you recap our assignment for this next module. What do you want to call this mod? This is module 3, but what's the what should we title it?
Self-image. I think just self-image.
Okay.
And so our assignment for this self-image module is to describe the image that you are projecting right now. And you can use how you feel about yourself, how other people respond to you, how, the opportunities that you're seeing in the world right now. And then new sheet of paper or draw a line, new section. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? What do you want the world to show back to you? And, what, just add detail to that person. And then start being that person. Literally start reading that and thinking like that person and acting like that person while you're cooking breakfast, while you're walking the dog, while you're at the gym. Think and be that person.
That's interesting you say that. I just finished reading a book a couple months ago called Aspire by Frank McKinney. He used to go by the Daredevil Real Estate Entrepreneur. So in the book, he profiles these 5 heroes, live or real. Not real, characters like Batman or Superman, that kind of thing. So he identified his 5 characters. One of them was Evel Knievel. So that's why he called himself the Daredevil Real Estate Entrepreneur. He would sell $100 million spec homes, and he would just build it without a buyer in mind, just believing that in his market of 50,000 potential customers, that the buyer would ultimately want to come down to Delray, Florida, to buy this exquisite dynamic home that he built, masterpiece. Then he would sell that home and go build villages in Haiti. So amazing man. Got to meet him here in Katy a while back. So that got me on my own journey too. It's like, who are my heroes? Maybe as we're talking to the audience, who are some of those heroes? And here recently been reading Elon Musk's book, and I bought this book like 2 years ago and decided to pick it up. And as I'm reading it, I said, man, what an amazing person. And then I said, well, who inspired him? Well, Tesla did. And so I went and got Tesla's book. And of course, I just started reading this, but he is fascinating. I'm like, wow. So you can pick up those essence from those people and like not necessarily have to reinvent the wheels. Like, wow, they were interesting in their era. And even now, Elon Musk is very interesting in our era and has been able to transform very many industries, from the space technology to the electronic vehicle. And even talking to my TV guys, they get a lot of business from the car dealership world. And I asked them, just out of the blue, I said, have y'all talked to Tesla yet? Well, no, we haven't thought about it. I said, well, they're here in Houston. They might be in a good account, to go at least approach. And so that got them to thinking, well, hey, we might do that. So anyway, ideas are everywhere, opportunities are everywhere, and it's fun to explore what you want your life to look like. And so thank you, Molly, for helping us to discover our new you.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be back next month and we'll review these modules and we'll go over a new one, and we'll just keep walking you through this process of writing and designing your own new program.
Awesome. And two things. We do have a new logo. If you go to the website, veteranmillionaires.com, check out the logo. Molly and I collaborated on it, and she really brought some insight into it. And thankfully, our designer in Bangladesh really hit it out of the park. And then we're partnered with Veterans Business Force. And so Kathy Bowersox provided it's called a $1 million business. And it's like a $6,000 curriculum to help you grow your business. And that's on our website as well with the login. And so it's free for our followers. We're just building this community of like-minded folks. And I believe that we're going to have resources come to the table, people that can help business owners to like turn on the switch and just really hit it out of the park. But we got to get ourselves right first, because money magnifies you, right? So you got to be good and have everything, the foundation built. And as that success starts to come in, we'll be able to help so many people. I'm looking forward to that day when we do build that number of 1 million veteran millionaires. And you don't have to be a veteran to participate. If you're just want to support a friend, or you want to find out for yourself, you're welcome to the table. And you just gave me flashbacks of going to boot camp. My drill instructor wasn't too loving. He called me a maggot and everybody, slimy civilians, that kind. But as we were talking, I said, really internally, that made me more committed to wanting to like prove him wrong, per se, to become the Marine. That was what I was there for. Okay, you can call me whatever you want, but that doesn't make me who I am. And ultimately, those of us that graduated, we were able to say, hey, we did it, despite all of the challenges that were coming our way, so to speak. Yeah. So anyway, thank you again so much. Looking forward to the next edition, and we love your emails, your feedback, and again, we'll post this episode on YouTube and also feature it on the website. Thank you again.
America needs veterans more than ever. As a veteran business owner, you are equipped with a focus, professionalism, and dedication that is rare in the marketplace. We are looking for former military, make it happen business leaders like you to join forces with a marketplace mission called Veterans Business Force National, a division of Network in Action Business Force based in Houston, Texas. We are rallying patriots to work together to grow opportunities for yourself, each other, and our community around the country. We meet once a month via Zoom to share our vision and align with fellow warriors. Together, we are stronger. Google Veterans Business Force National to find us before we find you. Apply to join our mission at networkinaction.com. We are Veterans Business Force National, on mission and locking arms.